It's basically a carryover from a meeting that we had last Tuesday, July 5th. And it became obvious during that meeting that all the people who wanted to speak and all the ideas that wanted to be brought forth, we probably needed more time. And so we adjourned till this evening, and we decided to have an evening meeting to allow people who couldn't come during the daylight to come here at night. So if you want to speak tonight, there's a sign-up sheet in the back, so sign up. And I'm going to ask you to keep your comments to 2 minutes. And I said to someone the other day, you can say a lot in 2 minutes. You can also say nothing in 2 minutes. So make your comments cogent and to the point and tell us what you think. All right. Was there proof of notification?
We were posted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And committee members, who do we have here? I have to cast about and see
Sure.
who we
This
have.
is Melissa.
I know
I'm
Sean
online.
is here. Mark Cooey is here. Gary Manning is here. Tim Gotchel
No.
is not here. David Turk is here. Steve Williamson is here. Melissa, I know, is joining us virtually.
I'm online,
And
yeah.
Steve Carroll. So we have a quorum. And we have basically a 10-point agenda tonight. And if you would please, committeemen and women, peruse that and tell me if you think we can run with it. Thank you, Mr. Murphy Lopez, seconded by Mr. Williamson. All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. We have an agenda. The previous meeting minutes were published in the packet. Do we have any changes, corrections, additions? If not, I'm going to declare those approved as printed. And it moves us down to number 7, a discussion and possible action on items of administrative reports, resolutions, and recommendations regarding countywide budgeting and services. I would like to make a couple comments myself before we begin this discussion. And what I'm going to do, committeemen and women, is do a round robin and call on you. Vice Chairman Murphy Lopez suggested that, and I think it's a good idea. So be prepared to give your take on what's going on before we have public comments. There are many ways to do a budget. And I think we're all familiar with the way that the federal government does their budget. They have the Omnibus Reconciliation Acts, and there are thousands of pages, and you have to wade through them to even find what you're looking for. The state does the same thing in their biennial budget. It's a good way, having budgets like that is a good way to impose your will and to affect the way services in the state, in the country are delivered. It does, though, keep a lot of people in the dark, because unless you're an expert in reading legislative jargon, you're probably not going to realize what's in those budgets until someone ferrets it out and tells you about it and said, hey, you got to come to this meeting. Because now Administrator Langdreck we hired the man, and his number one responsibility, well, among many, but the number one responsibility is to deliver a budget. However, before he did that, and he's real close to starting the budget process, he set forth a lot of the plan changes in the form of proposed resolutions. I think that this was the most transparent and fair, I guess, way to do this, and then to invite public participation and comment, which is what we're doing. Now, the resolutions are proposed if this, and I do intend to have a vote on those resolutions tonight, by the way. We will be voting. If they pass out of this committee, then they will go to the county board next week. And the county board then will act on them. And if the county board moves them out, then, and if you've read the resolutions, you see that the intent of them, all of them, is then to work down to the affected standing committee. So then the real work begins after the resolutions are passed down to a standing committee, which is why people have commented, you're really rushing this through, you're pushing it too fast, slow down, take a look. And I agree with that. However, I want to get the instructions to the standing committees as quickly as possible because they have a limited amount of time. And you'll see that most of them have a year to come back with recommendations to accomplish some of the things asked for in the resolutions. So if we sit on this for 6 months and don't do anything with it, that cuts down their time, and it cuts down the administrator and his people that work with him in the financial area, their ability to budget into the future. So having said all that, I'm going to round robin with members of the Finance Committee and ask them for their take, their impression, and their comments. Mr. Manning. And what committee do you represent, sir?
Well, finance, parks, fair,
Parks and Fair.
highway used to be, I can't remember all their names now.
Yes, but you're here tonight as, which committee? You're
Personnel and finance.
Parks, Recycling, and Fair. Great.
I want to thank everybody for being here. A very, very important meeting. One that's not going to be easy for all the citizens or for us as a committee. Our county is not in great shape. Something's got to happen. I think a lot of little things have got to happen to make a big change. I would hate to see any one entity just totally cut out. I think we're all going to have to work together and maybe expect less for a while. And that's what my intent here is as a board member.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Representing Public Works Standing Committee.
So I'm kind of torn here because I've been in the board for a couple of years now, but this is a unusually difficult budget, as we know, and I'm not sure that I've got enough information to feel comfortable moving it along. I know we have a timeline, and there's a lot of things to get moving in order to meet that timeline. But gosh, it just feels like there's a lot of questions I still have, and I don't know if those can hold off and be done during the standing committees, or whether they need to get resolved before we move it on. And that's my concern right now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Turk, representing Land and Zoning Standing Committee. I've got it right here if I just read what I've got in front of me.
Thank you,
Easier.
Mr. Chair. This has been coming on for a long time. just in my time on the board, which is roughly a decade, we've been kicking the can down the road successively and knowing this day was eventually coming. Well, it's here now. We've reached the tipping point. We've gotten to the point where there isn't any more money left to move around. Something has to change dramatically in order for the math to add up. We're fortunate to have some pandemic funds left that we can ease the transition. And that's the intent the administrators expressed, and we'll move forward hopefully in that vein to ease the transition, but there's going to have to be a transition. I do appreciate everyone's input that the public has been contacting all of us and sharing thoughts. That's great. And their points are well taken. Everything people are speaking in support of is definitely important, but there's not enough money to go around. The stuff that wasn't important was cut a long time ago. So we're left at a point of making very difficult decisions. Are we getting a fair deal from the state funding wise? No. Is that going to change anytime soon? No. We've been waiting for a while. It hasn't happened yet. Nobody's going to bail us out. We took the same kind of approach with our radio system, waiting to see if somebody else would help us pay for it. They're not. So we need to act responsibly on our own to make sure that we are sustainable in our budget moving forward. That's going to disappoint some people. It's going to be upsetting to some people. It's not easy for us either, but that's the unfortunate position we find ourselves in.
Thank you, Mr. Turk. Mr. Cooey, representing Education Standing Committee.
Well, I guess I would say, it follows the same suit as everybody else. We've known for the short time I've been on the board that this day was going to come, and now it's here. I think now is a good opportunity to look at ways we can get to where we need to get to. The state doesn't seem to help us. I'm on a few different boards, and our school boards seem to go to referendum on a pretty regular basis. I don't know that that's well liked or not liked, but they seem to pass on a pretty regular basis, at least the one that I'm on. And maybe that's where we're at here. I encourage us to look into the referendum part of it, and I think it's something that we need to take back to the people and see what they think. That's all.
And we do have a discussion of a referendum on the agenda tonight. We do. Mr. Williamson, representing Pine Valley and Child Support Standing Committee.
I will ditto everybody else's comments, and I agree with Mark as well that I think we're to the point where it may be a little easier for all the taxpayers if we can get this referendum information taken care of in a timely line. It may push us back as far as trying to get the budget done, but I know Administrator Langrick has a timeline put together, and that's I think the direction I feel we should go. I've been on, I think this is year 7. I'm starting a couple times when we had to cut out at the Ag Extension, and I told people I wasn't comfortable with cutting. And why do we have the name of Richland County, Richland, which means rich land, and which was basically all ag at one time with a little bit of business. So it is a very tough decision, and people are doing the same thing in their own households as well as what we're trying to do. So it's not easy for anybody, and especially those of us that are all taxpayers here in the county. We're going to do the best we can with the information that we have.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Melissa Luck, representing Public Safety Standing Committee. Melissa is virtual. Melissa, are you with me?
I am. Hear me?
Not well.
I can get closer.
There we
Can
go. Yep, got it now.
Okay. Thank you. Obviously, I agree with all the other comments that have been made. One thing that I think has been missing a little bit from our conversations has been trying to come up with ideas of increasing our revenues and not just cutting. Obviously, a referendum would be increasing our revenues, but I don't think we've completely tapped all of the resources we could potentially tap with grants and other things. So I also would like to say that I think that sending these resolutions to committee is not a bad thing. I think that our committees are fully capable of digging into these issues and working with the department heads to actually really work through these ideas and come up with, I think they're the best skilled to actually come up with ways that we could potentially meet the expectations of those resolutions. So I guess I don't have the concern of sending this on, only because I feel like our committees can really dig into this and do a good job of, and we can, as a county, work really hard to make sure the public has notice and access to those meetings so that we could be getting specific ideas to that specific committee. So that's really my thoughts at this point.
Thank you. Is Mr. Gotcho on remotely? Can someone tell me if, okay. And then brings us then to Vice Chairman Murphy Lopez. Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to comment. I myself personally am uncomfortable voting in favor of these resolutions this evening. I believe they're not ready for the committees yet. I think they need more thought. This is maybe a little in the weeds, and I apologize to members of the public if some of this sounds like gobbledygook, but hopefully the committee members, and I know the administrator, will follow along with some of what I'm saying about my reasoning for thinking we are not ready this evening. So the administrator has prepared a worksheet for us. It's called a financial planning decision worksheet. It's 09A in our last committee folder from July 5th. It gives the finance committee the ability to make decisions that would balance the budget for 2023 through 2027. But I don't see that the dollar amounts in the resolutions always line up with the worksheet. So as an example, and I could be wrong, and I'm always willing to be corrected, Resolution 09H, the one that relates to public safety, HHS, Public Works, and the Finance Committee, they all have dollar amounts in there for each one of those committees to come up with cuts that they would need to make. But I'm not seeing those dollar amounts in the worksheet. And so then thereby that throws off the final tallies on page 17 of the worksheet. And Supervisor Luck brought this up at our last meeting. Even if we made all these cuts, the worksheet doesn't appear to be balanced. So I think that's a major issue, because before these get sent to committee, we need to make sure we've got the right dollar amounts. Furthermore, the worksheet is built on an assumption, and I don't think a lot of people in the public are aware of this from folks who have contacted me and the folks I've talked to. A lot of the reason we're doing this is because we believe as a county board, we've fallen behind on giving wage increases to our employees. They've only had a couple or few raises in the past 10 or 11 years. The forecast, and this is a big one in the worksheet, is that we would be giving a 28% raise to employees over the next 5 years. We gave them a 7% raise this year. That would equal 35%. I'm not opposed to giving raises to employees. Costs are going up just like they are for all of us. They deserve it. But we have to balance our desire to be competitive with other counties so we're not losing our employees with the need for quality of life in this county. I really appreciate that the administrator, after the last meeting, hearing from some of us county board members, hearing from members of the public, he did a lot of research on operating referendums. I'm thankful to the chair that it's on the agenda tonight, but I want to be really clear that me personally, I don't know how the rest of the committee feels, but I need more information before I can move forward with these resolutions tonight. I need more information on what are wages of employees in other counties. How do they compare to ours? I need more information on staffing levels in other counties. How do those compare to ours? Because that's most of our cost in this county. Of course, it's our good staff, but we have to pay them and we have to give them benefits. And then finally, the information I need is a budget by department. I don't know how much this department versus that department takes out of our budget. I don't know their expenditures, their revenues in a total. And I don't know how much of those expenditures come from our property tax levy. And that's what's most important. We need to know if Parks takes 30 grand, but another big department takes a multi-million-dollar piece of the pie, we need to be able to see those numbers next to each other before we say, well, now this department has to make this cut and this one has to make that one. And we don't have that information currently. So thank you for the opportunity to speak again.
Okay, thank you. Now comes the fun part. We're gonna have some public comment. So I've got a list before me, and I was contacted by Cecile Even, right there, and she asked to be one of the first people to speak, and we did you one better. You are the first person to speak. So Cecile, if you would come up to the podium and the mic, and we'll give you 2 minutes.
Thank you. Ron. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
speak right into the mic.
yes. I have three concerns. First is Pine Valley. It's been self-sustained, giving money to the county yearly. They're paying their debt for the renovation. Since no tax dollars goes to Pine Valley, why cut back on this important facility? Schmidt-Woodland Hills has 50 beds. What's going to happen to all the patients? Next, my other concern is HHS. It's dear to my heart. Their services to children and youth, like the birth to age 3 program, they deal with people with mental health problems and those with alcohol and drug addictions. Many of those people have children in the home who are abused or neglected. They, by protecting the children, sometimes take them out of the homes, send them to relatives, excuse me, or place them in foster care. I've experienced both of these situations with my own grandchildren, different county, however. Then there's ADRC, the Aging Disability,
Now, be sure to get near the mic, Cecile. You're
Aging and
fading out. There you go.
ADRC, Aging Disability Resources. We're all aging, and I'm one of them. With age, we change. Some of these changes cause challenges, and this agency helps with those people, be it housing, transportation, medical help. It's really needed, and it's in our community. HHS also offers public health, as well as nutrition, like food stamps for the poor, access to medical care, give medical cards. And these are for the poor. And we have a lot of poor people in this county. Oh, no. I got a few more seconds.
Finish up.
Simon Center is also very important. The swim lessons, the pool, the swim team, that's why I had my granddaughter in as she was growing up. And I enjoyed the Tai Chi classes. They offer CPR classes, lessons, yoga. And the weight room is state-of-the-art equipment with trainees. Simon contributes to the health and fitness of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. I should have given you the lineup here. Suzanne Fish is next, followed by Marilyn Hauk, followed by Bruce Reisler. That's our lineup. So Suzanne, are you available? Not here? Not different? Not better? All right, Marilyn. She's online, I'm sorry. Okay. Suzanne, are you ready to talk to us? Well, I'm going to call that on Marilyn Hauk, followed by Bruce.
Let's just join.
Somebody.
I gotta figure out who just joined there, not put in. Somebody on a phone.
Okay. It's off now.
Marilyn, is Marilyn out there? I seem to be reverberating here.
Somebody in the room should have their microphone on,
Okay.
or they're not muted.
Bruce?
I muted him.
Bruce Reisler, followed by Mike Brenninger, followed by Linda Gentis.
My name is Bruce Reisler. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Richland Economic Development Board of Directors. As you're likely aware, the RED is a cooperative effort of and jointly funded by Richland County and the City of Richland Center. The mission statement of RED is to foster a community of opportunity, success, and excellence. A coordinated, deliberate effort to organize local economic development efforts as RED was approved in 2019 and operationalized in 2020 in response to increased awareness that the greater Richland area was missing out on community improvement opportunities. The model of a county and city partnership was selected as the best use of limited financial and taxpayer resources and to take advantage of the natural opportunity to cooperate and align county and city efforts. The RED board is primarily an advisory group composed of local leaders and citizens who are concerned with the economic well-being of people and businesses in our area. Collectively, our role is to offer perspective to the county and city leaders and to give direction to our economic development director, Jason Glassbrenner. Our board takes seriously the financial challenge that's facing our county government, and we wish to offer our support and advice to the County Board of Supervisors. Firstly, we want to encourage the board to continue to fund the Richland Economic Development Office. Jason and our board continue to lay the groundwork to nurture the success and economic growth, which can lead to an increase in tax revenues so desperately needed by county government. We continue to be impressed with the volume and quality of Jason's work and the return on investment that his work has generated. We should continue to fund this function, which in effect is paying for itself. Secondly, our RED board and Jason will continue, our RED board and Jason will strive to offer ideas and suggestions for your consideration as to how to balance funding for the amenities and services that we all enjoy with our ability to pay for them. This is consistent with the language of the proposal the committee is considering this evening. Thank you for your service to Richland County as our elected representatives, and thank you for the opportunity to share some preliminary thoughts.
Thank you, Bruce. Mike Brenninger, and followed by Linda Gentis, followed by Sheriff Porter.
Hey, Mike Brenninger, Richland Economic Development Board. I'm really speaking about economic development, though. I've been involved in this for several years since it was defunded by the city and the county. I think that was 2009. And we were able to build back after falling behind other counties, be able to build back significant driving engine economic development. A lot of that came through the hiring of Jason Glassbrenner and his very good work for the county and the city. I just want to make this point that the Richland Economic Development actually brings in a lot more money than is spent on them. So, for example, just the block grant that Jason received, $1.2 million. That's just one example of the monies that come in. So it would actually be a net loss to the county and the city if economic development was defunded. Nobody on the board gets paid anything. They're volunteers. And so we just have one employee, then a little part-time contract worker. And I think this is a very important area. If we need to, we'll try and come up with some solutions that would include some private sector funding, but I think the county will do well to continue to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda, followed by Sheriff Porter, followed by Carla Doudna.
Hello. On Monday of this week, the Friends of the UW Richland campus, along with the Chair, Marty Brewer, and Vice Chair, Murphy Lopez, met with the UW Platteville Interim Chancellor, Tammy Ivetovich, regarding the future of the campus. She stated that they will always have a footprint here, and she will investigate having the UW system, who has a specialist in analyzing campuses, have them come here to review the UW Platteville Richland. She and other administrators from Platteville reported that they are working on putting in place for the academic year 2023 the following career programs: physician's assistant, nursing, physical therapy, and chiropractic. Students will be able to take their first 2 years here at Richland and then transfer to Madison
Platteville, and Oshkosh to finish these degrees, and hopefully finish them in a shorter time than if they started at other places. They're making the program so that it's affordable for students. These career choices are very much needed in this area, and I hope the committee will consider giving the campus one more year before passing the type of resolution proposed in order to give time to market and get these programs in place. And I know you know about the economic impact when the campus is at full. Thank you.
Thank you. Clay Porter, followed by Carla, followed by Bob Bellman. Okay, well, Carla, are you prepared? Followed by Bob Bellman, followed by Jacob Lundgren.
Hello, my name is Carla Dowden, and I'm your Richland County Fair and Recycling Coordinator. First, I'd like to ask, I guess, for some clarification as we move forward in this process, why the recycling department is being put into this resolution, because we don't receive levy money for that department. It's solely funded by the DNR recycling grant. So I guess at some point I'd like some clarification on that. Second, I think June 6th of 2023 is only 11 months from now, and that's really not a lot of time for us to try to recoup the $15,000 tax levy money that you're looking to cut from my fairgrounds. I will say that there is potential at the fairgrounds, and I definitely look forward to the challenge that I'm going to be tasked with. And right now, I'm just one person, and I'm one person in the office, and we're only about 6 weeks away from the fair. So I'm willing to work nights and weekends with those that I've reached out to that are willing to work with me to generate that revenue that we're going to be losing as of 1/1 of 24. But what I'm asking is that you consider giving us until 1/1 of 25. I don't feel that 11 months is a realistic time frame for us to be able to do that. We actually are kind of a department that is dictated by Mother Nature and is also dictated by those that want to bring their events to our grounds. We don't create events at the grounds outside of the fair. We just don't have the staff. Like I said, I'm the one person in the office. Second of all, when you cut the tax dollars from the county fair, if you do dissolve that, you're also dissolving the income that the service clubs, the Lions, the Legion, the Kiwanis, the 4-H, that they generate, and they generate a lot of their revenue at the fairgrounds. And that's also going to be lost in our community. They do a lot for the community. They do a lot of scholarships. They do coats for kids. They do school supplies. They do the iBank. They do the Lions camp. They do a lot for our veterans. So I really, really hope, I understand that we're in a predicament, but I really hope that you would give me at least one more year to January 1st of 2025 and not January 1st of 2024. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Bellman, Jacob Lundgren, Elizabeth Groff Brennan.
Thank you, Chair Brewer, for calling this meeting. I'd like to first ask what the county's fund balance is today. I think Derek could answer that, or the administrator possibly. What is today's fund balance for the county? What would we be able to spend, I guess, today? Any idea?
Well, I didn't bring all of my items with me for the meeting because I wasn't speaking tonight, but
Okay.
You're asking a question and I really don't feel comfortable answering that
That's fine.
without the information in front of me to make sure we're giving the most accurate information possible.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
I think that's really important that we know that. I haven't seen it, I haven't read it. We should know what our fund balance.
Well, just for your information, Bob, we try to have a fund balance of at least 3 months in our
Yep.
checkbook.
Yep, I understand that.
That's our,
I know you
our
try
goal.
to, but where is it at? Mark?
well, we're at that level or probably a little better, I think.
So you're talking roughly how much? 3 million?
3.5, maybe.
Okay. So we're gonna get a tax amount here on July 31st, correct? We're gonna have an influx of taxes. That's for the second payment. That should help things. It leads to a question: what departments are over budget as of right now? What departments are having real problems? We're having a crisis here. I'm hearing that what departments exactly are having that crisis? They're not able to pay their bills, or they're not at 60% or 50% of their expenditures. I think that's important to know. Okay, I'm going to just mention a couple of illogical things that I think have happened in this. I'm really unclear about this tower, and then we're going to put pressure on the ambulance. I don't get this. I don't understand it. I don't understand no county fair, trying to take everything away from the county fair. That's not good. I don't understand selling property and improving anything that gives permission for that. And I don't understand why we're going after small ticket items like the parks and campus and so forth that are, 1% or 0.111% of all of our expenditures. The sell option should never be out there. If you approve that, I'm really afraid of the direction the county will go. So I'd urge you to vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Elizabeth, are you there? Yes. Followed by Bill Lobeck, followed by Stacy Kleiss. Oh, I'm sorry, Jacob. Jacob, yeah, you're after Elizabeth then. I'm sorry.
I'm Elizabeth Graff Brennan. My parents have lived in Richland County since the 1980s and Richland Center since 1998. They've swum at Simon's Center pool twice a week until my father had a stroke this spring at the age of 101. I've gone there often when I visit and had a chance to meet a lot of the other swimmers. I talked to one gentleman who had had 12 back surgeries and was on OxyContin or oxycodone, I don't remember, round the clock for the pain. His wife talked him into aqua exercise and his pain was reduced, so he only needs medicine once or twice a month. Many others swim to recover from surgery or injuries or just to exercise without putting stress on their joints. Not to mention the water aerobics, swim team, kids lessons, and more. Simon's also provides one of the only indoor year-round pools for miles around. It is a very valuable resource for this community, and I hope you don't put it at risk by abrupt termination of their levy funding, because my dad is hoping to get back in the pool.
Thank you. Jacob, followed by Bill, followed by Stacy.
My name is Jacob Lundgren. I'm not only a county resident for the last 19 years, but I'm also a veteran of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Recently retired from the Wisconsin Army National Guard with 20 plus years of service and a taxpayer. I'm here to speak regarding the recommendation for the reduction of the part-time Veterans Benefit Specialist position. In many parts of this country, rural residents face substantial physical barriers to accessing services and amenities, including longer travel times, lack of transportation options, and limited availability of services. Richland County Veterans Service Office plays a pivotal role bridging the gap between rural veterans and their well-earned resources and assistance. I have seen figures that the CVSO brings in around $12 million per year to the county. The number I'm more concerned is 1,200. Is that me or someone else?
It's someone else.
Okay, I'll keep going. I'm more concerned with the number 1,200. That is a number of veterans who raised their right hand, laced up their boots, and charged headfirst into war, who made it home alive and now are residing in this great county, who came home with visible or invisible scars from combat, medical issues, ticking time bombs like Agent Orange and KBR burn pit. That is 1,200 service members, but the CVSO office assists family and next of kin. That number is in total roughly 1/3 of the county. I want you guys to raise your hand if you are a family member of a veteran or are a veteran. Raise your hand, look around. Okay, thank you for that. And you want to reduce the CVS role to one person for 1/3 of the county. What a disservice you would do to our veterans to not give them every opportunity to help them. Can you imagine a veteran in need of assistance coming to the office to find the door locked and the light off? One person cannot cover that office every business day. I leave you with the VA mission statement. It's to fulfill President Lincoln's promise, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, by serving and honoring the men and women who are America's veterans. Your decision on this matter will be forever seen as a reflection on how much you care for the veterans of this county. I'm going to keep going. They left their families behind to protect you. Do not turn your backs on them now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Lobeck is next, followed by Stacy Kleiss, and then Tricia Clements.
Good evening. I am the past department commander for the Military Order of the Purple Heart of Wisconsin. And I want to speak on behalf of our veteran VSO office. Now, a little known fact is that there are on the average of 22 veterans a day committing suicide. Unfortunately, these 22 veterans have not probably seen a veteran service office, and they have a stigma if the veteran service office is shoved in under Health and Human Services, because the veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress also is going to say, that is a handout and I don't need a handout. So I stress the fact that the veteran service office should stay the way it is in one off by itself. Also, what I read in this proposals is cutting the fare, cutting corners all over the place. Where are our youth going to get educated? They learn by taking stuff to the fair. They learn by interaction and winning and losing. And these resolutions just don't make sense for the county, not good for the county. It's going to be a ghost town if you keep this up. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy, I have you next, followed by Tricia.
My name is Stacy Kleist. I'm a Richland County taxpayer and Richland County's clerk of court. I manage the resources of our local court system. Budget-wise, what happens in large departments affects my small department and the resources that we have to provide services. My office is the lightest staffed in the state. There are 3 of us in the clerk of court office. Forest County in northern Wisconsin has the same amount of staff. They share a judge with another county and they hold court 2 days a week. Here in Richland County, we have a full-time judge, part-time family court commissioner, and we work with judges from 4 area counties. There are many days that we have court happening in 2 courtrooms at one time. I want to thank the members of the board who support a staffing comparison of county departments with surrounding counties. I hope that it helps all of us understand why one of our largest departments has more employees in some of its divisions than our neighbor Sauk County. Sauk County has about 64,000 residents. Richland County has a little more than 17,000. Sauk County's Health and Human Services has 10 economic support specialists. Richland County has 13. I urge everyone who cares about Richland County to ask questions and do their own independent research, not just of Health and Human Services, but of every department. Problems are only that until you find a solution. With cooperation, openness, and continued transparency, we will get to where we need to be.
Thank you. Tricia Clements, followed by Yvonne Chapman, followed by Mike Compton.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Trish Clements, and I am the new director of the Health and Human Service Department here in Richland County. And I do want to address the issue of our economic support unit here in Richland County. In 2012, the state of Wisconsin mandated that all counties be a part of a consortium to deliver the income maintenance services. We are part of the Capital Consortium. At that time, we had 6 workers. In 2015, additional funds were provided to the consortium. A decision was made that Richland County at that time would add 8 new workers, and the purpose of that is it was cheaper to hire workers in Richland County versus Dane or some of the other counties. And so the consortium, in essence, got more bang for the buck. So I just wanted to really address that issue. I heard it has come up, and that whether we have 8 workers or 15 workers, we pay the same amount to the consortium to be a part of the consortium. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yvonne Chapman, Mike Compton, Tracy Gobin.
Good evening. I'm Yvonne Chapman. I am the Richland County Home, Community, and Education President, which is a nonprofit group that serves this county. The Finance Committee voted to take a $4 million and invest it in short-term investments in our last meeting, while the county commissioner proposed a resolution for massive county department and UW budget cuts, defunding the parks, recreation trails, county fair, UW campus, Simon's facility, community ambulance service, and downsizing the sheriff's office, and also losing one of our vet reps. Do you realize how this looks to the people you represent? You have $4 million to invest on the market, but you don't have the money to pay for these fairs and for these parks. On page 98 of your resolution, it is proposed to spend 2023, $9,000 to replace computer workstations and $14,000 for access point replacements for Pine Valley. I thought you were getting rid of Pine Valley. Why is that even in our budget? On page 48 of your resolution, which I read 3 times, you made a proposal to increase county employee wages in increments. Yet the resolution is proposing to cut county budgets up to $350,000. So you're going to raise their wages and cut their budget? That makes so much sense. Richland County has 39 committees and 209 committee members, which they get paid for these meetings at different increments. Maybe that's where you should start. Maybe you have too many committee members. How much will you take away from your residents who trust you to represent them and in good faith? I am asking to put these massive cuts in a referendum and let the people decide what's important to them. Stand with us and not against us.
Mike Compton, followed by Tracy Gobin, followed by Karen Knox.
Well, thank you, Chairman Brewer and members of the Richland County Finance and Personnel Committee. Mike Compton, Assistant Provost for UW Platteville, and I oversee the operations here at the Richland campus. So thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening regarding the resolution before you. Richland County and the campus share a deep-rooted local tradition as a point of access to higher education. Almost 120 years ago, 1903 to be exact, the first teacher college was established in Richland Center. And for 64 years, the teacher college trained young men and women to become teachers in Wisconsin schools. In 1966, after learning that teacher colleges across Wisconsin were being phased out statewide, Marjorie Wallace worked with the legislature and the Richland County Board of Supervisors to keep that tradition going and established a 2-year liberal arts campus here at Richland Center. Her vision became the Richland branch campus of the Wisconsin State University Platteville and established the new branch campus in Richland Center as an important local access point for those seeking higher education. And there's a plaque outside the Wallace Student Center that commemorates our partnership. In the last 55 years, the campus is being reinvented and renamed many times, and in 2018, we were merged with the UW Platteville and became UW Platteville Richland. What has never changed is that the campus remains an important point of access to individuals seeking college-level credit or an associate or baccalaureate degree here in Richland County. Now, the university is committed to expanding and growing its programs and pathways, including healthcare and other areas critical to rural communities like this one. and continuing to serve the students at Richland is part of the university's vision for its overall advancement. Programs are at various stages. Not all will be ready in the next year, but we are moving as quickly as possible to get these programs that we consistently hear are needed up and running here in Richland. So while these challenges may seem ominous, they also provide an opportunity for us to work together and yet again reinvent the Richland campus to continue its mission as a point of access to higher education and developing a strong workforce with educated citizens that meet the needs of the people of Richland and the surrounding counties, and producing leaders that will guide us through unknown challenges of the future. So thank you again for the opportunity to share the history of the Richland campus and its important mission to provide local access to higher education. And we look forward to working with you and continuing our partnership in the years to come. So thank you.
Thank you. Tracy Gobin, followed by Karen Knock, followed by Paul Tickner.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Gobin. I'm the director of Simon's Recreation Complex. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the public today. I understand you guys have a hard decision to make. You have heard about Simon's a little bit today. It's about fitness. We've got reducing pain, taking less medications, water safety, swimming lessons, swim team, racquetball, swimming for fun and fitness. But it's not just about physical activity. We also help with the mental well-being of folks that come into our building with stress reduction and socialization. For those seniors who live alone, socialization is very important, and you kind of get both of the best of both worlds, coming in and exercising and having that movement and having conversations with friends and talking with them, so getting that socialization at that time. So it's kind of a one-stop place. However, a lot of our users that come into the facility don't just make one stop at Simon's. When they're in town, they stop, they go to other local businesses, spend money buying food or going and purchasing at other places. That brings money with the taxes into the county as well, so bringing additional revenue to the county. These users of the Simons don't just come from Richland County. They come from Vernon County, Sauk County, Iowa County, Grant County, and come and use the facility, so they're coming from a distance. So far this year, Simon's Recreation Complex's front door has been opened by Simon's members and the public over 39,655 times. I personally am inspired by John and Edith Simons, who donated the money to build Simon's Recreation Complex. The number of people's lives who have been touched or have improved because of their goodwill to donate to build this facility is absolutely amazing and inspiring to me. But when you think about it too, the County of Richland and the City of Richland Center are also part of that, because you guys have, for the past 35 years, also supplied money to Simon's through the tax levy. Currently, it's about $35,000 each from the city and the county. So you guys have done a great job at touching people's lives and helping improving their lives. So I want to thank you again for allowing everybody to speak and considering, supporting Simon's still in the future and thinking of the future lives that you guys can touch with the support of Simon's. Thank you.
Karen Knock, followed by Paul Tickner, followed by Christine Richards.
Good evening. I'm the Richland County Veteran Service Officer. I am over 20 years retired Army, and I've held this job for 7 years. In that 7 years, we have cut $25,000 out of our budget. That is directly due to cutting where I saw fit. I'm telling you, we cannot cut this position. This position directly affects our state mandated services. Facts, I've got numbers. I've got so many numbers that I can show you how much more money that we've brought into the county. When I first got here, we were bringing $8 million into the county with use of our office. Since I've got here, as of 2021, we're bringing in over $12.1 million. So that's more now than it was when the statistics came out. I was originally asked to cut $2,000 from my budget because I have one of the smallest budgets in the county. And the county has chosen to give me a raise of $7,000 that I didn't ask for. So why can't I just keep my original budget and not get my raise? I did not want that extra money. I need an assistant. I need a second set of hands in my office. State statutes 45.80. This is a law. Office space and assistance. The county board shall provide the county veteran service officer with office space, clerical assistance, and any other needs that will enable the officer to perform the duties under subsection 5. The county board shall provide. Doesn't say may, it says shall. I have never asked this committee or any other committee for anything that I didn't think was necessary. That veterans assistant is vital to how my office operates state mandated services. Thank you.
Paul Tickner? Am I saying that right? Is it Tickner? Well, Kitchener. Okay. Okay, tall Paul, followed by Christine Richards, followed by Dominic Anderson.
Honey, milk, bananas. Well, this is my shopping list. I'm sorry. My name is Paul Tishner, and I'm from Muscadet, and I am here to say what the Simon Center has done for me and for my companion, Karen. When I was 65 years old, I learned to swim. I'm 77 years old right now, and I swim, and my honey swims. We swim 5 days a week, year-round, as much as we can. This is all from the Simon Center. We're there, like many people our age, to swim and stay fit. And they come there with the exercise groups and so many other things that Casey or Tracy has so well spoken on what the Simon Center can do for people. Now, I know they have a new system, a new swimming center, pool here in the town, but it's only open 3 months out of the year. And the rest of the year, there's no place for people to go. Tracy is right. People come here from a long ways away. And when we come here, we swim, we exercise, and then we spend money here. We go to the restaurants. I'm going to go shopping. We come here. So I am just here to say, I want you to consider what you're thinking when you support, what you can do to support the Simon Center. Because people here, we're all here, we're all age. I don't know many people here. I don't think a lot of people here go to the Simon Center, but it does you good. And it does so many people good that can't get out of the house and do anything. I'm done with my speech except for one thing. I want to thank Marge Wallace for making Richland campus. When I was 1 year old, I was burned and she saved my life. And Richland Hospital was where I was taken. So thank you, Marge Wallace, and thank you, Simon Center. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Christine Richards, followed by Dominic Anderson.
Good evening. I'm Christine Richards. I'm a family physician at the Richland Hospital, and I'm currently the chief of staff. There is a tremendous amount of overlap between the work of the hospital and the work of the county board. And so tonight I come forward as representing the medical staff with both a proposal and a request. So first, my proposal would be that as you are starting to look at the services that overlap so much with many of the patients at the hospital, that you take advantage of the medical knowledge that we have at the hospital. I would offer that we could have a consultant, one of the doctors, some of the nurses, some staff that could meet with you to talk about the services that you're thinking about cutting and think about creative ways to manage that together so that we can share the burden with you and make decisions that will be helpful both for the county budget as well as for the patients. The second part is the request, and that would be that the county board's effect on our ability to recruit staff at the hospital is tremendous. So many of the programs that you're thinking of cutting, whether that be the bike paths, the Simon Center, the Parks and Rec, those improve the quality of life. And that is very important in our ability to recruit physicians to this community. Last year, we lost 4 of our 14 family physicians. So this has been a very, very busy year for us in recruiting. And one of the things that we have been able to put forward as we go out with people is that we have such a beautiful county, whether that be the Pine River, the parks, the bike paths. And so the things that you can do that would have high impact but less cost would be very helpful in our ability to retain physicians and attract people that can help take good care of the county. Thank you.
Yeah. Dominic Anderson. Followed by Eric, I'll get this wrong again, Semendo. Closer this time, all right.
Hi, Attorney
Go
Dominic
ahead.
Anderson. I grew up here. I was born and raised here, went to school at Ithaca, started out at the campus. I'm a veteran of a foreign war. Now I have a small office in town here. I guess I'd take my notes on my hands here. First, I want to talk about the veterans. The veterans here in this community, which I guess make up 1/3, when we signed up, each one of us signed a blank check up into giving our life in support of this country. Veterans need your support. I don't have PTSD, although my wife might beg to differ, but a lot of veterans are suffering and they need the help. And you owe it to them, damn it. You owe it to them. And Sean Murphy and I probably agree on just about nothing, but today I think we're on the same page with everything here. We need to slow down the train. Secondly, I want to talk about the fair real quick. One of my fondest memories was leading cattle at the fair and having a lot of fun at the fair when I was a little kid. And then and I talked about the college. What about all these college kids coming in? Did you do any economic impact studies on how much money they bring in and how much our small businesses are going to lose? Why don't we just roll up all the small businesses and be done with the damn town and close it up? Because everybody that comes into these communities, they go to Walmart, they go to Quick Trip. We already lost our grocery store, for God's sakes. How many other businesses need to open up? And it's not going to affect me. People find me online and word of mouth. They know I'm aggressive. It's not going to hurt my business one iota, but it's going to hurt the other mom and pops. I might as well switch to bankruptcy and take on all the businesses that are going to go under if you go forward with this these proposals, as I understand them. Secondly, I would say that the Simmons Complex, somebody donated, I understand, quite a bit of money. I hope you have the moral integrity to refund that money if you're going to close down the Simmons Complex. It was given in good faith that the county and the city would continue it for people. If you're not going to continue with that good faith, then damn it, give them the money back. Okay, now, lastly, I'm going to sum up. I think that'll cover it. So, don't cut your nose off to spite your face. Thank you, Charles.
Eric, followed by Pat O'Boyle.
I don't know if I can follow that up. Anyway, my name's Eric Seamandel. I'm on the Fair Recycle and Parks Commission as a citizen member. And I'd just like to understand a couple of things, I guess. Has the county board or the finance committee looked at maybe cutting everybody's budget by a certain percent instead of just whacking off the lower end of us? Also, have you looked at how much our taxes would have to go up if you wanted to balance the budget per 100,000? I don't want to stand up here and say raise our taxes, but maybe we have to. I don't know. I think you need to put it in front of the voters as a referendum. I also like to ask, has anybody looked at what the fair and the parks bring into this county as revenue? And if you cut us, what's that going to take away? I'm sure we bring in more than we cost the taxpayers of this county. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Pat O'Boyle. Pat O'Boyle. Okay. Well, Sheriff Porter, you're up.
I am Sheriff Clay Porter, and I guess for the second meeting in a row, I'm probably going to go off script. Some of you may have seen my press release from last Friday morning. We had an incident in rural Richland County where we had an armed standoff with an individual as a result of a domestic dispute. That standoff was peacefully resolved. Everybody went safely home except for one person who went to my jail, but everybody was safe. Training and equipment made that happen. Training and equipment that's going to be cut with a $350,000, impact to public safety. I'm not so naive to think that I'm the only one underneath the Public Safety Standing Committee. I know there are other departments, but my budget is the largest by far in that committee. A cut of that size is close to 10%, if not more, of my budget. That's budget that's going to go to training. It's going to go to equipment, and it's probably going to have staff reductions as well. So that's what I'm up here asking for. We need this training. We need this equipment to keep our officers safe, to keep the public safe, and we can't afford any cuts. We're operating on a shoestring. I mean, things haven't been great. Other departments, our comparables are working with bigger budgets and more officers. I mean, it was been brought up several times tonight to look at what our comparables are, and we're operating with less already. We'll continue to operate and do our best with what we're given, but we can't afford any more cuts. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone else feel a compelling need to speak? And if you would please identify yourself, then.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mia Hillebrand. So I grew up in Lone Rock, Wisconsin. So that's kind of on the corner of Richland County. I graduated from the River Valley High School District. Now, as I'm looking around, I am the youngest person in this room, which is kind of intimidating to me, but also something that kind of makes me realize that being here means a lot to me, because I hope to come back home to Richland County after I graduate college in 2024 with a degree in agriculture education. Now, I was asked to be here on behalf of the students of Richland County Agriculture Education and supporting the students of the Richland County Fair. Now, when I tell you, I had many choices in my life, and one of the best choices I made was to come and serve and come and work at the Richland County Fair as an FFA member in the ag tent to educate students about what agriculture offers, especially here in Richland County. Now, as I traveled this past year as the Wisconsin State FFA Secretary, I can say that I strongly advocated for the agriculture industry of Richland County because I knew that this was a great place to come home to and to represent in the great state of Wisconsin. Now, as I stand and listen to many of you, I can say I have many of the fondest memories here at the Simon Center, swimming through the River Valley Richland Center swim team. As if you guys don't know, swimming in October without like an indoor pool sucks. It sucks. And the Simon Center has been a great place to host us and be able to help us out when we can't swim outside. Now, the Richland County has served as such a great opportunity for students to learn many life lessons. And as I speak today, I see so many of the people that I made best friends with from the Ithaca School District, Richland Center School District, that want to come back home to Richland County. Now, these changes that you'll make will affect me and the many students that want to come back to Richland County as nurses, as teachers, as educators, advocates for this industry, and be a part of Richland County. I want you guys not only to consider what can happen now, but what will affect the people coming back into this industry and coming back here to this county, because it means so much to me and to the future of this county.
Thank you. So, yes, ma'am.
I have one question. Can I come to the podium?
You can.
You have one online also, Marty.
Okay.
I'm Yvonne Chapman, back to talk to you again. I did not cover one thing that I want the question answered. If grants from the DNR or the government have to be repaid per your contract, like the one on Pine River Trail, have you thought about how much it's going to cost you to repay it if you sell Pine River Trail? Has anybody looked into that?
No, we're expecting the committee to tell us all this stuff, Yvonne, if we can get it down to them and they can work on it.
Well, I would think it would go to you guys first to look at it, to say, hey, we can't afford to do this, and just not even put
Well,
it in the resolution.
And that's gonna be a consideration, that's for sure. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Someone online? And
Emily Dolan.
Emily? Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to go ahead and add to some of the comments that have been brought up today. I wanted to go ahead and just bring up the question again, how creative are we being when we're looking at ways of saving money? Obviously, the budgets are in a very tight position and we need to fiscally move forward in a sound way, but I think that there's a lack of creativity in the current plan. Some of the things that the school district has utilized to mitigate some of the financial impacts that it's gone through. Defeasance has been an important tool that the district has utilized and moved forward. We've also implemented a wellness program that saved our health insurance. Our health insurance went up by less than 2% this year as a result of that implementation. And I saw that the health insurance premiums expectations were expected to grow by 15% or 10% in the coming years. So just having that comparison with similar organizations between, less than 2% to 15%, it seems like a very confusing number to me. As other people have mentioned, the campus is such an important and critical tool for our students. There used to be 50 international students at the UW campus, over 50 students. That was largely taken over when the UW Platteville, took over the campus. But within our school district, we are working on implementing an F1 program that would help those students at the high school transition directly into the campus and build on our current and very powerful J1 program. There are other possibilities. I have some huge concerns about the short-term debt covered in the district. I saw that there were very high expenses, over $1 million. I'm wondering, I would love to see more about those numbers, which weren't available in the last presentation. We haven't had to take short-term debt at the district for the last 3 years as a result of increasing our fund balance. And we know that the interest on that is extremely expensive. The UW Extension has been such a gem and a great partner to the district and had a huge impact on bringing in the members of our Spanish-speaking community, making them feel welcome in the community, and just providing additional resources to our kids. And as Bruce Raisler and others mentioned, economic development functions really pay for themselves. And Jason Glassbrenner has certainly proven his value to our community. To defund economic development is really to give up on the future of the growth in the area. I wanted to thank Supervisor Luck for mentioning at the beginning of this meeting about increasing revenues, especially through grants and referendum. That will be such a key to making sure that we can move forward in an economically sound way, but also, that we're doing it creatively and not just moving to cutting budgets right away. And also for mentioning ensuring that the public has access to those committee meetings. So thank you so much.
Okay. Anyone else online? No. All right. At the last meeting. Oh, I see a hand.
Hi, my name's Brian McGraw. I'm the chair of the County Ambulance Committee. Wanted to point out to the members of this committee that we have submitted an alternate resolution, and it includes extending the time for making a decision as to whether or not the ambulance remains part of the county, extending that out an additional 3 years, 2023, 24, and 25. We are on the cusp of finishing a 3-year contract with the participating municipalities, and it would be better for our operations if we could continue that for another contract period of 3 years. And we have no objection to providing a business plan and submitting the information within the time period as specified in the original resolution. And I want to also say that the modification includes language that the Joint Ambulance Committee would not request any operating revenue from the tax levy during the additional 3 years. Thank you.
Okay, and I was aware of a possible amendment there, Brian, and we'll deal with that when we get to that resolution. All of the resolutions referenced were to the committee at the last meeting with the promise from the chairman at the last meeting that a vote would not be taken, and the vote will be taken tonight on those resolutions. And it would seem to me that we'll probably take them one at a time because it's too important, and probably I would not get a motion to accept them all as written and published. And what I'm talking about is moving these resolutions to the county board for action. And that would be at the meeting next Tuesday or this coming Tuesday night. So the first one before us is the Simons Natatorium and Richland Economic Development Department. And it tasks the city-county committee, and there is a city-county committee that meets periodically. There's a Simons committee that meets monthly. There's a Richland Economic Development Committee that meets bi-monthly. But both of them, I guess, could be loosely described as part of a city-county committee. And that committee would be tasked with coming up with a plan for Simons that would result in no levy for 2024 and beyond. And a note, if the county drops its levy, the city will do likewise because it's a batching kind of thing. So the report is due, or the recommendation is due by June 6, 2023. No levy for 2024 and beyond. Do I have a motion on this resolution? No motion. We're either going to discuss it tonight or we'll discuss it very soon. So,
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to postpone action on the resolution until we have received further information.
okay, and are you speaking of the Simons Natatorium resolution?
Well, I am, but I will make a similar motion on all the other resolutions, so I don't know that it's, in my mind, I'd prefer to make a motion to postpone on all of them together so that we can discuss that in more detail.
Can you give me if you're postponing, give me a date that we're postponing to?
I would postpone to an event, and the event would be when we receive more information. And I think that I want to be specific, though. I don't want to try to be cute about this either. I think we need to be really specific about what more information we need. I don't want to postpone this forever. I do believe that the county does have serious financial issues. We do need to do probably some combination of cutting expenses and increasing revenues. So I would submit 3 items that I already mentioned before: wage comparisons with other counties, staffing level comparisons with other counties, and a budget by department, including expenditures, revenues, and how much of those expenditures come from the property tax levy. So I'd make a motion to postpone until we've received that information, and I would certainly welcome any other amendments to that motion if someone wants to second my motion to postpone.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Carroll. Discussion of the motion. Steve?
Yeah, I was pretty brief when you asked all of us in the committee to say something at the start, but I've got a couple pages of
Yeah, you faded out. Get it?
Okay. Okay, I'll start over. When Chairman Brewer asked us all at the start of the meeting to say a few words, I was pretty brief, but I do have a couple pages of questions on the resolutions and the spreadsheets that were used to generate these resolutions. And so I'm not much of a public speaker. I'm more of a line by line numbers guy. And I need that opportunity to ask all these questions before I'm ready to move to the next step. I'm happy to have another meeting where we do that. And I'm flexible and I want to hold on to our timeline for doing the budget. But I feel like I need more information, just like Sean said.
Anyone else want to chime in?
Mr. Chair, this is Melissa.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Luck.
I just wanted to mention that Supervisor Murphy Lopez and I have been working on also trying to get a handle on exactly what services are mandated versus non-mandated. And I do think that that information is also a critical piece of this puzzle.
Yes, you're absolutely right there. Anyone else? Any board members who are not on the Finance Committee? Mr. Seep, you certainly have a comment. Yes.
It's got turned on.
No, it's not on.
Now can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. No. I can always hear you, Don. Your voice carries, with or without a mic.
Seems to me that I always have trouble with microphone. Must be a Casanova affliction. I wanted to say first, I appreciate very much the thoughtfulness of Sean Murphy's feelings about postponing this. I do feel that this has been rushed. On the other hand, I think we need to reflect a moment here that we're not making any decisions. The Finance and Personnel Committee is not making any decisions tonight to do any cuts or make any policy decisions. The only thing they are doing tonight with their vote is to pass this to the county board. It will be up to the county board after hearing this presentation to forward this and give the work out to the standing committees where it should be done. And it will not be until recommendations come back to the standing committees that information will be provided to make informed decisions. Nobody is deciding to cut anybody's budget tonight. And perhaps in the end, some budgets will not be cut. The second thing I'd like to say before I run out of time, and I usually do, is that I think there's merit, a lot of merit, in the suggestion that we have, that we consider a referendum by the people. Everyone here tonight probably would raise their hand and say that rather than cut these important services, which each feels are very vital to the county, that they are willing to pay for those services through increased taxes. Because that is after, of course, the county has done everything it can to fiscally manage their budget where they cannot make any more cuts. And they can't generate any more revenue other than perhaps an occasional grant. Certainly can't raise fees anymore. That's just another tax. So in the final analysis, these committees may come back to us, these standing committees, with that logical suggestion that if these services are desired and there's no other resource, and those services are vital to the quality of life in this county and to its economic development, then certainly the public will support it. But it's up to us, all of us, to work together in conversation and dialogue to inform the public of the issues and the numbers. In the end, it's all about numbers. We need to present those numbers with transparency and clarity. And I don't think we should rush it. So I agree with
Thank you, Don. Any other board members? I'm sorry, I cut short your applause, Don. I'm sorry. All right, we have a motion before us in a second. Can someone restate the motion, please?
Mr. Chair, my motion is to postpone action on the resolutions until we've received more information, including the information that I and not sure if any others specified any additional information. I think maybe there was at least one or two.
Okay, and we had a second. Can we, before we take a vote, let's talk about when we're postponing till.
Mr. Chair, I believe, I'm interpreting the language until those information requests are satisfied. Is that?
Yes, and how long will that take? A week, 2 weeks, a month?
It will depend on the length of, if we're doing a wage comparison, I guess my notes here are to reach out to Carlson Detman to look at doing a review on our wage comparables. I do have a call out with them as well and looking at staffing. I would like more guidance on if staffing is department specific or if that is across the entire organization. Budget reviews and informations. We have been working with Supervisor Murphy Lopez and putting together a desired distribution by departments. We do have a form that's available in your folders as of this evening. If there's additional changes to that, we're close on that one is my feeling. With the other one here, did I get them all, Sean?
The only other one is the mandated, non-mandated service research that Supervisor Luck and I are doing. But I would say that I believe, Mr. Chair, that if we could at least have another meeting relatively quickly so we can talk in a little bit more detail, I think that would be really helpful to me. And I'm sure, I know Mr. Carroll would probably appreciate that, and getting into some more specifics about what we might as a committee want for some other research. I don't want any big assumptions to be made about what I just said and that we need to be spending great amounts of money on a consultant to come up with some of these things. I had constituents who contacted me who was able to grab the wage scale from Vernon County. It's pretty easy to, well, it's not easy to find. She did some research. It took her a little bit of time to dig and find it. But some of this stuff is online and we don't need to hire a consultant to do this. I and myself, I and other supervisors donate a lot of time to the county helping with this research. I know others would help us too.
Okay, so.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Lopez, do you have the mandated versus non-mandated in the motion? Otherwise, I would have offered an amendment to add that to your 3.
So we have an amendment to add
mandated services versus non-mandated services.
Do we have a second? Mr. Manning seconds. Okay, let's vote on that amendment then, to add mandated, non-mandated. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, So now we have the main motion, which, once again, Sean, I'll ask you to restate.
Okay, so it's a motion to postpone action on the resolutions until we've received more information on wages in other counties, staffing levels in other counties, a budget by department, including expenditures, revenues, and how much of those expenditures come from the property tax levy, and then now is amended with mandated versus non-mandated services.
Thank you.
And all of Steve's questions. He'll probably need a chance to talk about those.
So we have a motion and a second, and you've heard the motion, that amended motion. So I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Roll call vote, please,
Well,
Mr. Chairman.
I don't have anyone to call the roll, except myself. So,
We are.
Cheryl?
Cheryl is prepared.
All right, Cheryl, call the roll. Yes, we postpone. No, we vote tonight.
Okay, this is a roll call to postpone. Carol. Murphy Lopez.
Aye.
Marty Brewer.
No.
Melissa Luck.
Aye.
Gary Manning. Dave Turk.
No.
Steve Williamson.
Aye.
Mark Cooey.
Aye.
6 ayes, 2 noes.
Thank you. Okay, the motion to postpone carries. And now, the next thing on our agenda is a discussion and possible action on developing a referendum question. And I'll defer to Administrator Langdrick, who did some research, and anyone else who might have information for us.
Okay, Mr. Chair, let me pull up the summary here. Looking this evening for potential motion to task administrator or ad hoc committee or finance and personnel or some other body or person with the development recommendation of an operation referendum for electors to consider in a February or April 2023 election as based. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
He couldn't hear, so make sure you're speaking into the mic.
Okay, can you hear me now, Supervisor Steve? Looking tonight for a motion to task the administrator or ad hoc committee or finance and personnel or some other body or person with the development and recommendation of an operation referendum for electors to consider in a February or April 2023 election, as based on a potential school referendum is going to impact your dates on whether it would be a February or an April. Another possible motion would then be this evening, a motion to recommend resolution to the Richland County Board to create a temporary referendum ad hoc committee for the purpose of developing and recommending a referendum question. Background on this item, the Finance Personnel Committee discussed interest in consideration of a operation referendum to exceed county levy limits as a means of funding services. Question format in referencing Wisconsin State Statute 66.06024C. The question shall be submitted as follows. Under state law, the increase of the levy of the, which would be Richland County, for the tax to be imposed for the next fiscal year or multiple years is limited to a percentage based on actual or political subdivision's best estimate, which results in a levy of blank dollars. Question then is, shall the Richland County be allowed to exceed this limit and increase the levy for the next fiscal year or specified years or indefinite for the purpose in which the increase will be used as listed out by a total percentage based on a number that we'll get through our through the Department of Revenues and our municipal advisor, which will result in a levy of so many dollars. So it's very complicated, but it's kind of, this is the format in which the levy question would be proposed on a ballot. It's broken down kind of in the 3 decision points there. And another fourth one is, first off then, is purpose. We're going to have to decide on what is the purpose that you want to insert into your levy question. Which functions, departments, services does the county propose to be funded through a tax levy limit exemption? General operation expenses for all services, general operation expenses and capital improvements for all services, operation expenses for specified purposes,
operation and capital expenses for specified purposes, or some other type of combination. The next decision point is duration. How long is this levy limit exemption going to remain in place? Is this a one-year effort, a set number of years, 3, 5, 10 as examples, or an ongoing indefinitely, as long as the services are provided through the county? Amounts, how much will the exemption of the levy limit authorize within the duration? And some of the options here to consider: is it going to be a single dollar amount for a 1 year? Is it going to be a single dollar amount ongoing? Is it going to be a specified amounts for specified years, possibly specified amounts for specified years, and then a single amount and ongoing? The committee, finance or personnel, or an ad hoc is formed, will have to engage with discussion with the administration and staff to formulate cost estimates based on the scope of the purpose, duration of the exemptions, and inflationary factors. The scope and duration will drive the cost impacts of these, and these have to be weighed against community desires to shoulder more taxes. The Department of Revenues and our municipal advisor will assist us in determining the valuation factors and finalizing the question. Another component to consider this evening is community education plan. It'll be very important for electors to understand what is the intention of the question, what are the impacts of a yes vote or a no vote, what options does the county have or intend on a failed vote? Is there a committed ultimatum if there is a failed vote? What is the impact on individual property taxpayers? What is the impact to services and citizens? In order to ensure public education, the committee and board may consider flyers, door hangers, educational sessions, website videos, Q&A documents, public hearings, etc. Establishing who is responsible for the education efforts will also be important. Proposed timeline. It is recommended then this evening, finance and personnel action to designate a body person to develop and recommend a referendum question. July of this year, we're going to have to organize if we were going to be forming an ad hoc committee, or if it's going to be finance and personnel committee. We're going to have to bring a resolution forward to the county board. There is a drafted proposal for you this evening to consider, potentially amend. You will have August through September to do question development, polling interest, education, planning, recommendation, and then we also have offering from Wisconsin Counties Association. Attorney Andy Phillips, through his firm, is offered to review our question. October 2022, finance and personnel will then have to recommend a resolution to the county board. We're looking at November, December, again, depending on what our school boards are going to do for a referendum, to have the resolution adopted. 75 days prior to a February or April date is going to keep us in compliance. At that point, we'd also then have to have the Wisconsin Elections Commission approve that question for placement on the ballot. Postings then, we have our Class A notice 45 days in advance that Clerk Kalish will have to help us out with. Would give you January through March, depending again on if it's going to be a February or April, to have an education campaign on informing what is the question, what are the intentions with the questions, and answering all those things we spoke about earlier. And then it would be on a ballot in a February or April. February could be done by, again, if there's a school board referendum, then we're obligated to have it on in February. You can also choose as a body, if there's not a school board referendum, to still have it in February, or you can wait till April with the municipality and other folks that are going to show up on the ballot. There will be additional decisions on when to go to ballot. As we just talked about, if there is no school board referendum, the county will have the decision of calling a special election in February or waiting until April. Penalties on a past referendum: in the event the county fails to expend the monies gained through a referendum in any 1 year duration, there's a penalty imposed by the state of shared revenue withholding on that amount the following year. The functions and services defined in the purpose section of the question sets the parameters to use for determining referendum compliance. The broader the expanse of the services covers, the more fund maneuverability may exist in context of funds levied under the limit. Because if we're, you still have to imagine we're going to seed it for some purposes, but if you're still funding a project underneath of that limit, those are things we'll have to sort out in an accounting perspective. My concerns that I bring forward to you tonight in this action is I have concerns that a referendum effort may replace or delay urgency in the need for timely actions to begin prioritizing and problem solving. If a referendum is desired, I would recommend the initiative be incorporated into the directive resolutions, but the directive still be issued in a timely manner to promote action by committee, departments, and community partners. It would also be beneficial to know if the Finance and Personnel Committee have a vision or a general direction to set parameters for any advisory ad hoc committee. Developing a referendum question that can both gain the support of the county board and the electorate will likely pose a challenge. An expansive purpose eases hardship of organizational decisions, but may erode the likelihood of electoral support. The resolution package is designed to is there yet to design a dispersed problem solving and collaboration efforts and to impose the necessity to bring on innovation. If solutions are not developed and recommended by the committees or departments, it'll be left up to the administrator and finance and personnel to prioritize and problem solve to the best of their abilities and in the interest of the county with a very limited time for collaboration or innovation. Mr. Chair, this is the summary item. There is also an attached resolution. Would you like to take a break and discuss that or go into the proposed resolution for an ad hoc committee?
Let's go into the resolution.
Mr. Chair, in your folders tonight, these two documents, I think are also on the website. There is a proposed resolution for creating an ad hoc committee to develop a referendum question. Whereas Richland County Finance and Personnel Committee would like to seek the vote of the Richland County electorate in determining our citizens' desires for county services and our taxpayers' willingness to exceed levy limits. And whereas the development of a referendum question requires extensive consideration for the scope of services to be considered, the implementation and duration of the levy limit exemption, and the efforts to educate the community on the intentions and outcomes of a vote. And whereas this ad hoc committee would be making recommendation to the Richland County Finance and Personnel Committee for their consideration of making final recommendation for the Richland County Board resolution. Now therefore be it resolved, the Richland County Board of Supervisors, that a referendum ad hoc advisory committee is hereby created with the compensation of a committee of proposed tonight 7 people, being as followed. And again, this is a proposal on what it could look like. It has on here then having 5 committee members from your own Richland County Board. You would have then 1 local area school board member. And again, this is kind of to encompass your overlapping tax districts with consideration for what schools are doing. And then 1 from City of Richland Center member. And again, idea that most of our population is, or a good share of our population is with Richland Center in that consideration for overlapping tax district. Be it further resolved, the Finance and Personnel Committee may make recommendations on membership appointments, but that all county board members are to be appointed by the Richland County Board Chair, with other appointments made by the county administrator and all appointments confirmed by the county board. Be it further resolved, who you would name shall provide administrative support to the committee in completing its tasks. And be it further resolved that the duties of the referendum ad hoc advisory committee are as follows: develop and recommend a referendum question to the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee, work with administration and staff on developing cost estimates for the levy limit exemption, work with administration and staff on developing a public education plan, make a recommendation on time of placing the question on a ballot for the electorate consideration, and 5, make a recommendation on outcomes of a failed referendum. Be it further resolved, confirmed committee members will be eligible for per diem and mileage payments in accordance with county board rules. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Administrator Langrick. You've heard a resolution regarding a referendum. And this, if we would adopt this resolution here, it would move to the county board then. And I think we can still get it for board attention next Tuesday night. I would hope, and even have some recommendations for appointments. Is someone willing to make a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Cooey, seconded by Mr. Manning. So we're voting for the resolution to move the question of referendum to the board, and the board will then establish a committee. All those in favor of the resolution?
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
You may.
I'm wondering if it is possible for, once this committee makes a decision or makes some decisions based on the information that we end up being provided, if the standing committees can help us specifically decide, once we get those dollar amounts finalized, once we're sure what those should be based on some work with that worksheet after we get our questions answered, if those standing committees could then help us decide what should go on the operating referendum.
Right.
So I know that the administrator is concerned about that process being slowed down, but I'm wondering if those committees, they're going to have more of the expertise about what is the most important thing that they want to go on that referendum. So I just wonder, how can we get them involved in this process after finance makes its decisions?
Well, you could offer an amendment to the resolution directing, standing committees to provide information as required.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend to that effect then, that after finance and personnel makes their decisions about dollar amounts for each standing committee to include as part of the operating referendum, then that those standing committees make recommendations about what should go on the operating referendum.
Okay, thank you. You see.
I've got a question just with procedure on it. So we're looking to get feedback from our standing committees and our oversight committees to include as a like an amendment to this resolution for the referendum.
Be it further resolved, an additional be it further resolved, I would guess, right?
But then having them make comments after the information is delivered for your folks' consideration on those information items, you're taking action on that. And then they're making comments after that meeting time and event. Is that?
Well, at some point, this committee will need to take some action on those resolutions that we postponed this evening.
Yep.
But I foresee some of those dollar amounts changing.
Okay.
And so once we decide what the dollar amounts are for whatever committees, I would think that we would still want the advice of those standing committees about what items should or should not go on the operating referendum. I don't know how one person or one committee could make those decisions, but maybe I'm way off here. I'm not quite sure.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Luck, go ahead.
I mean, when I read this resolution, what I envisioned was this ad hoc committee would bring forth the standing committee or the department heads for each individual item that would potentially be on the referendum. So I mean, I understand exactly what Supervisor Murphy Lopez is asking, is that we want to make sure that we're getting the experts in the room, that if we do go forward with the correct language. Oh, sorry. I'm not sure what all you heard, but I think that what Supervisor Murphy Lopez is trying to get to is we want to make sure that the ad hoc committee brings in the experts to make sure we have the proper language if we do move forward with the referendum.
I agree with that.
Yes, Mr. Williamson.
If we require that standing committee member be a part of the ad hoc committee, you should be able to get that accomplished. But you may not be able to get that person to do it. But that would be one way to accomplish what Sean is trying to get done, and hopefully in a shorter time frame to help out.
I got a question here, or a comment.
Go ahead, Mark.
I think we just went through and we don't have dollar amounts, but we just went through and said we're going to cut. Right there tells you how much money you need, right? Or am I underthinking this? I mean, basically we're saying we got to get rid of this department, we got to get rid of this, we got to get rid of this. And we know what their budgets are, or we should know what their budgets are. Right there pretty much tells you what your operating referendum is. Other than, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking that, but to me, that seems a pretty simple way to answer your question.
I can speak to, so the document that's presented with the spreadsheet, of which there's questions about it, but there's one that I have filed that doesn't have my recommendations on it. It has all the desires that were brought forward, more than desires and needs, depending on your perspective on prioritizing things, that lays it out on what the projections are. And we can still work through that one without my recommendations on it to arrive at where we think, in order to where the departments are saying that they need to continue services is there. Again, some of the challenges that you're going to have, though, and my concerns are, the more expansive that it gets, I would guess in my knowledge of referendums that the more challenging it's going to be to have an electorate to back everything versus specified projects. But I don't know that of the people of Richland County. That's just based on my knowledge of history of referendums.
The only reason why I say that is we had several people come up here and talk that I think they voiced their opinion pretty clear of what they want Richland County to be. And I think if we look at it and say, okay, you know, there's still things we have to do to manage our budget correctly. I mean, there's no question about that. But I don't think they're ready to give up the services that we currently provide. And if we look at it that simply on the services that we are saying we are not mandated, we don't need to do any longer, that's going to give us a pretty close number to where that referendum number should be. And by the sound of it, I mean, just from where I'm at, now, not everybody may agree on every item, but they're pretty sure that they want to keep them services. So, I mean, just in a little bit of experience on school board stuff, I mean, when a referendum goes out and it's an operating referendum and we do it about every 3 to 4 years, there's not a lot of backlash in it. And, you know, and I'm not saying that's right or that's wrong, but when you start looking, and I think the biggest thing that people want to know is how much is it going to cost me? So is it $1 million? And how much does that mean I got to pay more in taxes? Or is it $2 million and how much do that's what we got to get people to buy in. And of course, this is after you approve all this stuff, but they want numbers. They want to know how much it's going to cost. And we can't dilly-dally around on that. We got to get that out in front of them. The sooner we get that out in front of people, the sooner we're going to know if we got to go forward on making these cuts, or the sooner we know that we got a pretty good feeling on a referendum. Let's not muddy the water and just keep trying to make more work out of this, what it is. Let's get a number that's close and start presenting it to people.
Thank you. Mr. Carroll?
Yes, I agree with what Mark said, but my concern is I'm not sure we know what that number is yet. We have some numbers that we've looked at, but they may change. And if we can just get a little more time to work the numbers, then I'm ready to go.
Okay, ready to go.
Mr. Chair?
Right. Mr. Turk,
Mr. Chair?
first.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just want to, I think we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. This is a resolution to create a committee to start talking about the referendum. We don't have to have all the answers to the questions yet. That's what that committee's supposed to figure out. I don't think we want to get ourselves too deep in this for this particular consideration to this resolution.
Okay. We do have an amendment that we were considering. I think didn't you make a motion to amend? Well, someone tell me. Okay, then we're okay there. So perhaps what we need to do is vote on the resolution as written. And I'll call for a vote on the resolution that Administrator Langrick just read to us. Okay, and we haven't established the makeup of the committee yet, but.
So we're gonna have then a motion to task an ad hoc committee with the development and recommendation of an operation referendum for electors to consider in a February or April 2023 election. And then with that as well, if you wanted to take it in one vote, motion to recommend resolution to the Richland County Board to create temporary referendum ad hoc committee for the purposes of developing and recommending a referendum question.
Yes, that's what we're voting on right now. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, then this will move to the county board Tuesday night. Takes us down to future agenda items. Well, I think we know what those will be.
There, you missed item 8.
Possible 23 budget guidance. What would you like us to tell you, Administrator Langrick? that we haven't already said?
Well, the night is getting old, but there's still time for some surprises here. Looking tonight for motion to accept the proposed 2023 budget letter as either presented or with amendments tonight and distribute to departments, committees, and partners in order to begin the 2023 budget process. So this isn't specific to the 2023 budget. It's not, again, looking out at our forecasts of different impacts that we're looking to potentially arrive at for 2024. This is specific to getting the wheels turning on a 2023 budget that we have to have in place by October in order for townships and school districts and such to be able to build their budgets into how much is going to arrive on everybody's tax bills. The document before you this evening is familiar to a document that you finance and personnel members would have seen last year. It lists out our budget objectives, most of them staying with the same types of objectives that we had last year in broad categories. Looking for a levy, we're looking to meet our operating levy limit as imposed by the state of Wisconsin. Services within operating levy limits, looking to protect effective delivery of essential services. Number two, maintain current discretionary services provided directly by the county or through partnerships, but with intentions of prioritizing, evaluating, and reducing services in preparation of balancing a 2024 budget. Utilize the American Rescue Plan Act funds in accordance with federal guidance to fill operation gaps in 2023 while the county prioritizes future services and expenditures for 2024 and beyond. Capital improvements and capital outlays within the operating levy limit. Maintain the county's infrastructure to ensure that future boards do not have to react to aging or broken systems, causing frequent sharp rises in property taxes, levy, and millage rates. Continue annual short-term loan financing of at least $1,050,000 for capital improvements and capital outlay programs that identifies and prioritizes projects and equipment over $5,000. Borrow $8.5 million to complete the radio tower project to improve network communications and coverages in responding to emergencies. Preservation of undesignated general fund. Strive to build and maintain appropriate minimum undesignated general fund balance of 25% of the annual general fund operating budget. Wages and benefits. Meet projected increases and adjustments in health insurance, premium costs, and fringe benefits. Make incremental adjustments in the employee's wage to progress towards the goal of obtaining market value and as determined through the 2018 study, Resolution 1989. Adjust our wage schedules in response to increased cost of living expenses and recent inflation trends. Major budget challenges and assumptions, and these are kind of taken again from the spreadsheet that is delivered, the financial planning. The assumptions are based off the same. This is meeting the strategic goals of market value for Carlson-Detman wages schedules and includes annual cost of living adjustments to reflect the consumer price index cost increases and anticipating a 15% increase in health insurance premiums, which equates to $1,037,000. I'm sorry, $1,037,152.96. With consideration for a 2022 budget that was built on the use of contingency and undesignated fund balance, a surplus of Pine Valley debt service funds, and with consideration for some revenues from increase of net new construction from the solar field credits, we have an estimated gap of $456,618.08. It's based on the projections then of reducing our health and human services placement. It's based on a reduction resulting from high way of merging shop positions, increasing admin hours, and conducting a surplus auction sale. It's based on the assumption of the sheriff's office anticipating increased expenditures for operations of $31,150. It's based on the guidance in the proposed budgets of a reduced daytime patrol position of $78,625, which is highlighted as this is a point of contention as well as it should be. Expenditure projections for the construction of a radio tower project is included. This is based also on guidance that includes the reduction of the Veterans Benefits Specialist position. It's built on the use of $1,300,000 of American Rescue funds to float the counties as we work towards a solvent solution for 2024 and beyond. It's based on the assumption that we will have proposals and such that will somehow, or referendum now as a solution to arrive at a 2024 solvency. It's based on using defederalized housing funds of roughly $80,000 for county expenses. It's based on townships beginning to pay $50,000 or so in election services to our county clerk's office. I have a summary in here then of our 2022 budget impacts to show context of that. I have a recaption on what the 2022 budget tried to accomplish and where some of the, again, the gaps were in closing those. It has a section then, again, on designating the fund responsibility to the different departments. It has a time line for the budget process, which phase one of the preliminary budget, and this is slightly different than the budget process we worked through last year. It has a 13 July today of approval of the guidance language to go out to departments. We would release our sheets to departments tomorrow to have them to begin putting in the information so we can get it back into our system. The administrator conducts a department head meeting next Thursday to give additional guidance. On August 5th, the worksheets are submitted back to our office to put into the AS400 to build the system and find out where our actual gap numbers are in the budget. Phase two then, departments review with administrator. On August 17th, I would have a open day where departments would come before for presentation before myself with personnel committee, county board supervisors, and member of the publics, all being open for attendance and observation. If you wanted to make that a formalized finance and personnel committee, as we did last year, that may also be appropriate. This would get us on track then for a September 6th budget presentation to you folks for consideration, allowing you then until the 28th to have finalization recommended resolution to the county board. We'd have to have then all finalizations on any types of amendments made from that meeting put in the following day. We're able to post it in compliance with state statute off to the papers on October 3rd for publication. It's ran on October 6th. And then on the 25th, we would have our hearing and county board adoption. The additional guidance, again, is it's based on what was presented through the financial planning and guidance through finance and personnel of trying to keep our Carlson-Detman and advancing on the wage scale for there of 2 steps for our general employees, 1 step for Pine Valley, as well as incorporating a 5% cost of living increase. Currently on Wisconsin Employee Relations Commission, they're showing CPI for base wage bargaining units now going up as high as 6% cost of living increase. It then has the additional guidance to each department as specified in the column 23 of the financial plan document that was submitted. And then calls for, again, health insurance of a 15% increase, recognizing that last year we had a 16% increase. Our medical loss ratio is down a little bit, but we're anticipating those inflationary factors that we're seeing across the economy are also going to impact our health insurance costs. FICA, we would be using 2022 to build the preliminary budgets. We do have numbers in for Wisconsin retirement system. Capital outlays, we already have a plan proposal document that's there. So any types of amendments to that are considered would be brought forward through the county administrator and to you folks for consideration of finance and personnel. Packets would include then the worksheets as well as the summary document and narratives, again, for consideration. I think I bored you probably enough of that, Mr. Chair.
And what is your timing on this, Clint? Do you want to get the preliminary budget?
Yes, I would like to
get the department heads by the end of this week, I think.
We'd like to push them out tomorrow to get the sheets to folks and give them a guidance and estimate on how to get their budgets begin to be prepared. So again, we can get them in the systems and begin understanding what the identified gap is going to be filled with decision due in October.
And I'm going to make a comment here, anticipating questions here. I think the closing remarks in this presentation, there will be a revised approach from 2022 with several major financial factors still unknown. Apportionments and plans may adjust several times throughout the process before we arrive at final resolution to take to the county board. Our goal is to adhere to the established budget objectives and continue to meet the service needs of the community. And I believe that paragraph gives enough leeway because we will be getting additional information and we'll be looking at it And you can't really remove it from the context of the budget because that ultimately is what we're looking at, so. Anyone care to make a motion on that resolution? Yes, you may.
I think the information is number one. I do have one question, one thing's not been discussed. Where out of 72 counties in Wisconsin, my understanding is we're number one for tax per capita or awful close to it. Wonder if we could have that information for that meeting.
Yes, okay. That's in your green book, if you do have a green book that you're given in your packet, but okay. All right. Anyone else? Anyone want to make a motion on that, moving this? Mr. Turk, you make the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Manning seconds. Okay. So we're basically allowing the administrator to do his job. All those in favor?
Mr. Chair,
yes,
may I speak?
Mr. Sean?
I'm sorry to
Murphy
keep
Lopez.
doing this tonight, but so if we pass this tonight, that means that the sheriff's department has one less staff person. That means the veterans office has one half less position for 2023. That means we're asking department heads to figure in a 9% wage increase for all the other employees. This committee, I mean, I think we almost need a whole day to go through that worksheet and take it line by line and figure out what the committee wants. I don't know how we've never even had a chance to comment on this yet. So I'm strongly against passing this tonight. Sorry about the schedule, but I just refreshed my computer and just saw this document for the first time.
Mr. Carroll?
Yeah, this document just showed up my iPad at 6 o'clock this evening. So I had just now started reading it during the meeting. And it looks like it locks us into things that may still change. So I'm worried about that.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Yes, you may.
Yep, so this was put in about an hour before the meeting. The guidance is, again, it's not trying to hide or any type of cloak type of things. It's based on the same type of information that we walked through on July 5th for 2023. You know, there's questions in place with it. The document allows us to put the information, task it out to departments so they can start developing their budgets based on these guidance. Does this automatically then lock out that we're not going to have a sheriff? It doesn't. If you didn't notice on the 2023, for that summary for that year, there's about $150,000+ there of gap for you folks to decide with. But that's also kind of, you remember last year we got ourselves in a situation where we underestimated on health insurance. I think we put in 6 or 7%. It came back at like 16% of an increase, and then we were left scrambling with how are we going to make up that additional debt. So it's intended to bring forward in a proposed budget on you folks still have some availability to plug some of what you see the most important things back in.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Carroll?
Yeah, I'm just worried that as we go through and any of these numbers get refined, that we'll cause the departments to have to do a little bit of rework. That was my worry. And obviously that means time is of the essence on this too.
Okay. So our direction here is just really crystal clear, I think, isn't it? No, it isn't. But I'll call for a vote then on the resolution. Yes, Clint sends his letter out tomorrow with the numbers that he's talked about, and no means he doesn't send it tomorrow, and we're back to the drawing board. I'll call for a vote. All those.
Mr. Chair, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a roll call vote to send out the budget guidance tomorrow. Steve Carroll. Murphy Lopez,
No.
Marty Brewer,
Yes.
Melissa Luck,
Yes.
Gary Manning, Dave Turk,
Aye.
Steve Williamson, Mark Hui.
No.
We have 6 ayes, 2 noes.
The resolution passes, it's carried, it's adopted, whatever. Send it out tomorrow. Future agenda items.
Mr. Chair, I actually have something on this item.
You may.
Contemplating Supervisor Murphy Lopez's proposed amendment to the ad hoc committee resolution for future contemplation of the development resolutions, which were postponed indefinitely based on the acquisition of additional information. It may be worth the committee considering amending those resolutions to direct the relevant standing committees to develop a recommendation to the ad hoc committee. That way they can begin their work evaluating and applying their expertise, and the ad hoc committee can start working on some of the educational aspects of it. And then at the end, they can all come together and develop the actual question with the expertise of the standing committees, the information that's been requested that caused the postponement, and the focus of the ad hoc committee on top of that. So just something for the committee to consider going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Future agenda items. Okay, we're gonna be having another meeting really soon. I would guess is when we get the additional information. We'll stay tuned. We'll let you know. Motion for adjournment?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if we have availability for folks to look at their calendars so we can know when that date is, that would be of great
Look at
great
your
help.
calendars. Can we do it a week from tonight? Do we want it in the day or the night?
County board next Tuesday night.
The county board is the 19th. Do we need to have it before county board? Probably. Don't know.
I can on.
Well, right.
What can we hope to accomplish next?
Right.
Going south. Going south for 2 weeks.
Right. How about setting that for 2 weeks?
At 1 o'clock like we normally do.
An evening meeting again?
No, during the day.
During the day?
Mark suggested 1 o'clock.
I'm sure, 1 o'clock on which day again, sir?
27th.
7th at 1 p.m.?
I think we're go.
All right. 27th at 1 p.m., we're calling the finance meeting.
And that's back in here?
Yes, if it's
Does it need to
available.
be here? Can it be?
We'll see if it's open. If it's available, we'll try to preferably have it here so we can spread out certainly more than we could in the county boardroom.
I guess I don't have a preference where it's at. I just.
Okay.
Okay, I did ask for a motion to adjourn, but
I'll make the motion.
thank the public for their participation. Thank you. And did I get a motion?
Mr. Tui.
Mr. Bowie, thank you. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll second it.
I wasn't going.